Hello, welcome to the Keshet Eilon virtual master course. This year we're celebrating our 30th anniversary, but months and a half ago we were not sure that this master course will take place. So it's short of miracle that we are now here and we're starting our master course. And this is a time to say thank you to all our supporters around the world. Only with your generosity we are now making music. So if anybody would like to continue to support us, there is a link which will allow you to make your donations. And now I'm so happy to introduce you our first opening masterclass. And it's very symbolic that this masterclass will be delivered by one of our first graduates back in 1991. And this graduate as well became first one who joined our faculty. So today he is doing major international career. I introduce you violinist Vadim Gluzman.
It's a pleasure to say hello to everybody. An incredible time, an incredible moment, and a very special moment for me personally, having been part of Keshet Eilon for 30 years. It really is part of who I am. I can't imagine my life without this extraordinary place. And even though we are now spread around the world, we're still making music. And I think without further ado, we would like to introduce our first performers and listen to Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto. This is pianist Eric Kang and our student Fiona Khuong-Huu, and we'll hear them play Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto first movement. Fiona, bravo. Beautiful playing. I have to say, very unusually mature for somebody your age. You managed to express yourself in a, well, for lack of a better word, in a very adult way. That's fantastic. Yet maintaining purity and excitement, wonderful. Really, many very good things. But since we're here to improve some things, so let's start. The very opening of this movement, when we first time appeared, I think you played it wonderfully well, except for it really is a matter of taste. I had a feeling that there was a bit too much wonderment, unsure of where the phrase is leading you. I would try to play it more as an overall arch rather than a few of little arches. And then, if I may warn you, there is one rhythmical mistake that you are making, and you are in a company of wonderful violinists that do the same, yet it doesn't make it right. At the very end of it, that's not right. It's a syncopation. I think it's quite important. In a way, Tchaikovsky is placing a question mark. Where are we going? And we're going to D major. Yeah, there is a question and answer, which you, by prolonging B, you flattening it. Let's try from the very beginning. Try to have a longer vision. I don't want to change per se anything. I want just to have a bit more of a direction forward. Fiona, sorry to stop you. Sorry to stop you. I do understand your sentiment. I would not take so much time there with the same expression. Let's try to maintain the motion. From here, maybe. Wonderful. That's what I would do. I would try to have this a little introduction played in a kind of large upbeat. Yeah. And speaking of upbeats, let's pay attention. What does he write between G and what does he write? Say again?
A double bar.
A double bar. What does it mean?
Ends. Ends.
He ends. I would rephrase it. It means a separation of sorts. Yeah, or at least that he ends something and he begins something new. Still, I hear in your playing that you are using this as a bridge too. I would like to wrap this first and then go on. Could you take it from and make sure that this question is really an end of a sentence, and then a new one begins without necessarily G being a springboard to F sharp. Good. Wonderful. That's it. Very good. Next order of the day. we have a 4-beat bar. Yes? Which beat will be the strongest? In the 4-beat bar, can you speak a little bit louder? I cannot hear you. First, absolutely right. Yes. Inevitably, the way you play it, if I were to write a dictation after you without knowing the piece, I would think that this is an upbeat and this is the first beat. I am of course not asking for any kind of accent or anything. I wanted to, so to speak, split the difference. I would love to hear a bit more weight on the first beat. Maybe physically speaking, a bit more bow, not just. And then be careful not to give too much weight, and more importantly, too active vibrato, because these together, weight of the bow and active vibrato, will create an importance on that note. Yeah, let's try it. It is straight from the D major. Good, wonderful, good. Two more things about this theme, and then we move on. Since we have I don't know if you agreed with me, but you at least played it that way, that this will not be an upbeat. Yeah. Maybe we should agree also that this will not be an upbeat to the next phrase. And maybe when you grow as old as I am, you will realize that this is a little flat. Not in terms of pitch, but in terms of expression. Yeah, no matter what you will do, harmonic will be always less intense than a live note. And again, we're facing the same consequences, that the second beat will become stronger. Yeah? Let's do it once again, and then we'll move on. Fiona. Again, in the same line of thought. No vibrato, vibrato. Immediately I feel it is one. Yeah, I would love to have a calm understanding where is the frame of the bar. Let's take it from. It's such a gorgeous. Go. Vibrato. Yes. Good. Wonderful. Fiona. Fantastic. That's exactly what I was looking for. Let's talk in general about one subject, and that is triplets. You feel, and as any of us who has a little bit of musical feeling, you feel incredibly emotional playing this piece. And so do I. Have been playing it for, oh God, at least 30 years. And it's still as touching as it was, if not more. Yet there are certain moments where our emotion actually damages the music. And triplet is one of the moments. Triplet is incredibly powerful expression in romantic music. No matter what composer you're looking from the dramatic period, triplet in itself is incredibly intense, especially when it is placed against a duplet. So, ta ta ti ta ta. That in itself has a lot of intensity. The moment you do this, you have made out of a triplet a eighth, and you make this music much less intense. I would love for you to pay attention each and every time you have a triplet, no matter where, especially we'll hopefully get to second subject. There, that's really very poignant. There, you are actually changing the meaning of the line. Let's take it just there from. Good. Wonderful. Moving on. Let me thank you for not rushing. That was so fantastically refreshing through all of this. I don't remember when I last heard someone in a masterclass play it and not rush. So absolutely fantastic. Jumping to second subject. Truly beautifully played. I need to only understand the shape of the phrase. You really are playing it incredibly beautifully. I do not understand where is the high point of phrase. Are you trying to say, or is it, or maybe it is. We can find more and more and more. I would like to listen to you and not have to ask the question. I would like to your shape of the phrase to be incredibly clear. Do tell me, what's your plan?
More in the second one.
So it will be a phrase that goes over 2 bars into the middle of the second bar. Let's make it happen. And then as we go on, please make sure that this doesn't happen. Nothing. You will see the moment you do play this triplet, you will feel it in your heart how much more satisfying it is. Let's start with the second subject. Fiona, bravo. Yes. You could have had a little bit more of a release rather than. Understand? Made the phrase even more clear, but it was much better. Now tell me, what's your reaction to actually playing triplets as opposed to not playing them? Did you like it? I surely did. It's complete. I think it's a completely different speech. Now let's move to into focus on. And I will talk briefly about technical subject, if you don't mind. Our right hand. You have wonderful control of the bow. I only wish that, and it applies in many places. This is just one example. I wish that your pinky was more involved in the process. Yeah, I'm sure you've been told. I'm not the first one. When you move in poco piloso to the double stops, instead of what I would suggest, using fingers and wrist, you are using basically your whole hand. And you are trying to make a point of playing off this string. I think we should make a point of sparkling articulation and adding a second voice to the single voice that we just had. You're putting a little bit, at least the way it sounds, you're putting the carriage in front of the horse. So what I would like to do, if we can start from, and once you come to the double stops, I'm sure I don't need to tell you how to do it. Make sure that your pinky is absorbing the shock of jumping on this thing, but don't make the motion of lifting and bringing the ball back the goal in itself. Yeah, that really is not the point. Let's start. Fiona, very good. This is what I see now. Let's make sure that our elbow is placed somewhere between G and A, and in this case it's D. Your elbow was, I would say, between A and E. Rather than, yeah? Let's try it straight from the double stops. Make sure that your elbow is on the imaginary hook from the ceiling. Please. Did you feel the difference? The moment you raised your elbow, the articulation became very different. It became much more natural, rather than elaborate jumping of the string. Yeah, it's really it sounds. You probably don't even know what a talk show is on TV. It's a show where people talk. Back in the old days, in 1960s, when it was just beginning, they would have people placed around the studio when it was done with live audience, and they would hold up signs for laughter, for applause, for whatnot, to create an atmosphere. So you held up a sign that said "Spiccato." That's not what we need to do. Jumping on to the development section, that was really beautifully played. I would like to only suggest one thing. I don't need to tell you that we were elaborating on, yeah. I would love to, of course, he writes accents, I know, but your stroke is very, very similar throughout. I would love to give a little, simply speaking, a little bit more bow on the thematic line. Rather than it has to do with very simply more horizontal playing on the theme. Yeah, and then immediately managing to lift. This is where you are lifting on purpose. Let's start. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted. And you could also maybe, when you do it again and again, feel it more with the direction of line rather than vertical sit down on every beat. Yeah. 2 words about your cadenza where you don't really need to play. No, you do. Sorry. Your opening chords of the cadenza. It's again about Pinky. I would like to implant a little thought in your head so you actually think about it. Your chords were a bit too harsh to my taste. And it has to do again with Pinky. I was actually looking very closely to the screen, trying to see what is it that you are doing. You have your hand in beautifully formed position, fantastic. And you are not one of the players. Sometimes I see kids use this kind of Pinky. You are nowhere near that. But essentially, what happens, since even though your Pinky is curved and everything is beautifully formed, it does not move as you touch the string, which means it does not do its job. And its job, in my line of thought, is a shock absorption, kind of a suspension on a car. You hit a bump, and the car absorbs the suspension absorbs the shock. So what you do when you hit the 3 strings, since nothing is happening here, it basically is the same as doing it this way. I would love to see your Pinky and basically all the fingers react to the string as you touch it, rather than think about it. Try. Bring your elbow. Yes. Go. Very good. Can I ask you to look at your bow and play it again? Yes. It's easy for you. The question is having discipline to remember. Yeah, and about your cadenza, absolutely wonderfully played, and it actually has something that I'm always looking for in cadenza, and that is a sense of wonderment. We're pretending to improvise. Yeah, we're pretending that we don't know what comes next. It's our job. We're actors in a way. What I missed, and you have this quality. There is a feeling of, oh my God, I never thought this was coming. It's there. What I'm missing is silence. Silence is incredibly powerful tool. I'm not going to tell you where and when. This is really, I like potatoes and you like tomatoes. It's irrelevant, really. I need you to find a moment or moments in this cadenza where silence becomes more powerful than notes before or after. Yeah, where you are actually speaking with silence. It's for you to decide, and I don't think there will be a wrong answer. But I think, dramatically speaking, in such a big cadenza, which is placed in this part of the movement as opposed to later, as we would expect in a more classical form. It is very important to have a real peak of intensity. Yeah, otherwise we will never hit the upper curve. Yeah, bravo! Really, absolutely fantastic playing, and also very impressive reaction. You're very quick. So I wish you lots of luck, lots of success, and I really do hope to hear you in person. Okay, bravo. You're welcome. So as we wait for our next participant, while our magician behind the screen, Vadim Bailey, is going to take us from New York to Israel. Just one little announcement for everybody who is listening and watching. We will have a small question and answer session after the masterclass, immediately following. So if you have questions, please write them in your chat, and they will be forwarded to me. And after we're finished working on Sibelius Violin Concerto, which comes next, I will try to answer a few questions. And we are ready for our next participant. His name is Elias. He comes from Israel, and I know that he's studying with one of the most amazing personalities in Israeli musical life, with someone who we at Keshet Eilon hold very dear, with legendary former concertmaster of the Israel Philharmonic, Chaim Taub. Elias is very fortunate, and here he is in all his glory. Good afternoon, and I think we're ready to listen to your Sibelius.
Fantastic playing. Can you see me and hear me? Okay, you can.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I've heard you play before. If I have, you must have grown a lot. If I haven't, it's a very nice surprise. You're a fantastic fiddler. Basically, there is nothing that stands in your way. Beautiful sound, very rich and full, intense. Many wonderful things. But since I'm here to tell you about things that are not so wonderful and to try to improve them, let's go to that. This concerto has in my humble opinion, or maybe not so humble, a terrible history of tradition. I mean, tradition of interpretation. There is a sense in a way, of disregard to what composer writes. We tend to, there are a few more pieces like this. We tend to listen to our dear colleagues' interpretations and repeat them, rather than actually examining and studying what is written in the score. Yeah, so if you don't mind, I will try to point to you this. Some of them are quite common misreadings, let's call them misreadings, that you allow yourself, and then you will decide whether this is really what you want to do, or you do it only because you're very much used to it. And it's absolutely natural. By hearing this concerto, I'm sure you've heard it hundreds of times by now, whether by choice or by accident. But all this information is stored in your subconscious, and it maybe is making its way without you noticing. So I will try to pinpoint. Let's start from the beginning. I would like you. Oh, there it is. The very opening. Is that a expression of calmness, peace, or is there something else?
It's a tense beginning.
That's absolutely correct, especially because we have orchestra playing and we play. We create a conflict right away. I would love to sustain that note and not let it go. You lost the tension towards the tip. It's wonderful you're having down bow. That's how I would do it. But I would love that note to be sustained rather than. Understand? Let's try it. Much better. Give me a little bit more of a. Rather than a little more life in the left hand. Yes. Wonderful. Elias. Moving on. Let's pay attention. Going to the fourth line. What is poco forte? You do see it in your score.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you understand it?
It's not yet 40.
Very good. Yeah, I agree. It's the translation is little forte.
Yes.
Small forte. It's of course very vague term. Brahms uses it all the time. Sibelius on occasion. I think what is important is to remember that we have a diminuendo which brings us to poco forte. What you did, and that is very typical, you play diminuendo on E flat, and then you played louder. I think we need to look at it as an overall gesture with diminuendo bringing you from forte to poco forte, forte to poco forte. Can we try that? So I would try to be careful not to accentuate and not to play it too loud, and not to play it louder than the end of previous phrase. Try. Your diminuendo brings you down to piano, and then no matter what you do, your sol, sol, sol will sound much louder. Why don't we temper diminuendo? Yeah, make diminuendo, but not so low. Please. Very good. Wonderful. Understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then comes question of rubato, which is immediately here. A great Finnish conducting teacher, Jorma Panola, who taught every Finnish conductors that is active, and there are many today. When they asked him, Maestro, what do you think is the greatest virtue a musician can have? He said, rhythmus. And it was an interview, so journalists tried to say, but is there anything else, especially for today's performers that go on stage in front of public? And he again said, rhythmus. I think and the story went on and on, him repeating rhythmus 5 more times. I do think that a sense of a beat is incredibly important, especially when phrase repeats itself. You play and then, and we have really consequent. I think this is perverting the phrasing. Also, pay attention. We have accent, accent, no accent. Then we have accent, accent, no accent. He must be saying something. Not. Rather than understand, these are maybe small details, but I think they actually change the meaning of what we're trying to express. Let's try with all of that in mind. Let's keep the rhythm correct and try to follow that this accent, 2 accents, no accent, 2 accents, no accent pattern. Please. Yes. Elias, still I heard your bow change at the frog was a little rough. Make sure it is as smooth as possible. Try just this. Maybe not so much bow. Yes! Fantastic. That's it. Wonderful. I think that's much more exciting. Moving on. Rehearsal 1. Look at bar 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see rinforzando there?
Yes.
On which beat?
On the first beat,
On the first beat. And you play it where?
second beat.
Correct. Let's move few bars later when it happens an octave higher. Do you see rinforzando?
Yeah.
Same story. Of course, and this is absolute, I call it a YouTube moment. We do it because we heard it on YouTube. It does not make it right. It's not. There are many arguments I can give you as to why it is important. The only argument we really need is because he says so. That should be enough for us. But if you listen to Finnish folk music, where he is very much rooted, it's always the first beat, ta ta, is very important. It's never ta ta. It's actually connected to Hungarian idiom. These are same language group. These two languages. It's strange, but it is. We will hear it in the third movement. Ta-rim, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-bam, ba-bam, ba-bam. Let's try it. Let's have discipline to play it. So basically, you need to stop the bow and catch the string. Try. Yes. No. It was so good, and then you did not remember not to be very careful. That was the rinforzando on the top was brilliant. But then you made another one. Play the last passage. Yes. Yes. It's not a technical issue, correct? There is nothing challenging technically. It's just a matter of discipline. Moving on. Can you please play it and try yourself to tell me what rhythmical mistake are you making?
Oh, sorry.
First one. You just made that mistake. Did you notice?
Yeah, probably the 16th note.
Yes, not probably, most certainly.
Yeah.
I am also a violinist. I understand your struggle. You are thinking of the chord, and you try to have a little bit more time to prepare. I'm sorry, this is not a musical decision. There is a consistency of writing which I think we should observe, and I am positive you are such a violinist that does not need extra time to play, really, to play this chord. Go, try it. Oh, continue.
Awesome.
You did the same thing here, like in the first phrase, but this time really with no reason, just by being used to it. Yes. Good. Very good. Let's move forward. he writes veloce. You do understand what it means?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, think in English, velocity, motion. Yeah. I think what is incredibly important here is an overall picture, an overall direction. To my taste, you stop to smell flowers a little bit too often. Etc. You do it again to be on the safe side. There is a saying in Russian, those who do not risk do not drink champagne. Yeah, let's risk, and you can do it easily. There is really, this is not we often put ourselves in what we think is a safer corner, but really we make it much worse. Let's just go. Let's take it from this sol diez all the way to mi bemol as a one continuous gesture. It will bring such intensity to this. Try. Do not rush. Do not rush. Don't rush. Don't rush. Don't try to play accelerando. Veloce, ma poco a poco crescendo, does not imply poco a poco accelerando at all. It only means one tempo. For my taste, you still made an accelerando, but this is much more intense now. Yeah, it actually brings my heart rate a little bit higher. Yeah, that's and I think that's what we're trying to find here. Good. Let's jump forward, otherwise we will not have time for anything. So, looking at the second subject, there are a few things that we must pay attention, and we always forget. You will remember that just before violin comes in, clarinets play the theme, and we come in. That Auftakt, upbeat, is the key for me of this whole second subject. And then what we do traditionally is you are mathematically playing it twice slower, you know that. Like, again, YouTube, like many of us. It does not make it right. The music is... It is not forte. We're going from mezzo piano to poco forte. We're only forte in octaves, which are called affettuoso. Yeah, affectionate. And we become aggressive here because we're scared of octaves, of course. Can we do this one from make sure that this upbeat is exactly as he writes. I do think it's very, very important. No, Elias, you are taking extra time, and it is one tam pa pam, and try to stay a little bit on the lower side dynamically, not so aggressive. Yes. Good, Elias, wonderful. I would not be accentuating so much. it's so incredibly emotional, but I don't see any aggression in this music. Think about it. I would give it a chance to be a little bit less muscular and more tender. Going on. Starting from here, look at the music and tell me, where does Sibelius start a ritenuto?
Well, it's not printed in my score.
Correct. You know why it's not printed? Because he did not want it. He did not write it. And again, this is a YouTube moment. We play slower and slower and slower. For me, we're absolutely twisting what he writes. Look at the way it is written. We're forte in the first phrase. Forte with accents. Down to mezzo forte, tenuto. Mezzo piano. Piano. 1, 2, 3, 1. And pianissimo. The celli are, while we're holding the last la bemol, cellos are starting pom 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 bim pom, from which we continue. And what does he write throughout these two bars? Look.
Crescendo.
Yes, and what did you do? Correct? Because everybody does that. Sounds familiar? It's not. By that time, you are so slow that this auftak pickup automatically becomes, and then you stand no chance to play fermata, simply because you will run out of bow in this tempo. And then look at what does he say. It's fascinating. Poco a poco meno moderato. Is this any indication of speeding up?
Yeah.
No. Sorry. Moderato is not a tempo indication. Moderato is mood. Of course, he is, of course, talking about us waking up a little bit. But this is, if you look at the recapitulation just before the coda, there he says poco a poco stringendo al allegro molto vivace, which means he is making an accelerando into new tempo, into faster tempo. Here, there is no indication of change of tempo until we go to allegro molto, which is subito. You know that this is second version of this concerto.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time. I think we should be respectful. Can we try it once, please? Let's start here. I know it will feel terribly uncomfortable now. But do me a favor, just once. Let's stay and do what he says dynamically. Release the energy in your intensity of the bow, in the dynamic, rather than simply making ritenuto. You know, violinists, we have this wonderful capacity. We do two things and we think that we're musical. We play vibrato and rubato. Yeah. After a while, I think we could reconsider and find other ways. Let's start. And I'm not going to do this, even if I want to. I know it's not a good idea. So stay in the tempo. Just go down in intensity. Less. Less. Go. Go, go, go. Stay, stay, stay. No, no, Elias. Fermata. Fermata is endless. Fermata is an incredible moment. This is where Dr. Faustus says, please stop the time, please stop the moment. It's extraordinary. Let's play the last re bemol major. Less. Don't slow down. Go. Go, go. Stay. Stay, stay. Immediately. I would not take so much time after the fermata. I would not try to play, hora. Yeah, it's not that kind of motion. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. Couple of words before we have to stop. Just couple of words before we have to stop about the cadenza. If you look at the way it is written, this cadenza is different from some others. I'm not going to torture you to ask what it is. I will tell you. It has bar lines. Yeah, and it immediately suggests that we are more structured. Unlike cadenza in Tchaikovsky concerto, where we were talking about space and time and silence and whatnot, this cadenza is much more rigorous. Of course, it still implies certain degree of freedom, more than you would expect in the concerto, in the movement itself. But I feel that you are taking a lot of liberties. Sometimes you're quite frivolous with rhythm. Very often when you play this rhythm, you're playing something completely different. You play it twice faster. I think it's just a mistake. And you're playing, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. You take a lot of time. You're waiting. By doing this, you are breaking a line, first of all. And secondly, the intensity that he is clearly building here is gone at each and every station. Yeah, I would be very, very mindful of that. If I may suggest, I know it sounds counterintuitive, try to play it once with metronome. See what happens. Yeah, and just go through it and try to see what did he intend, just from rhythmical point of view. Then you will go and play it rubato. Of course, it's cadenza after all. But there are some moments where the phrase is played upside down only because you're actually changing the rhythm. I don't think that's correct. My biggest advice: you are so fantastic. You can, we say in Russian, you can turn circles into squares. Read what's in front of you. It is our job after all. We are nobody without Mr. Sibelius. Yeah, I don't think I'm capable of writing 2 bars of any coherent musical thought. So I need Sibelius to be me, and I dare say so do you. Yeah, we need to give them a little more respect. Yeah, but bravo, really, and you react so wonderfully, fantastic. I hope we get to do this in a real situation. soon. Bravo. So we're done here, and we will, if there are questions, Itzhak, Vadim, you direct me. I already have questions. Question from Reynaldo Avila. Maestro, how do you recommend to ricochet string crossing on Mendelssohn cadenza? Very similar to what we spoke about in Tchaikovsky concerto. The bouncing bow, for me, and everybody has a different opinion, bouncing bow, while we can of course stand there and try to control every lift and come back to the string, it needs to eventually happen itself. You need to learn your bow, you need to learn your arm. I would first of all suggest simply playing 4 strings slowly and doing it faster and faster until you are comfortable to let your bow go. Learn where your bow jumps naturally the best. See what works. I'm a big proponent of pinky being on the bow at all times, if not always. But sometimes some bows actually react better when pinky is off. I have a couple of bows, and they play ricochet differently. It's a factor to know your instrument. But most importantly, of course, you can practice. There is a way to practice ricochet like this. And you may do it, but I would suggest that most important is to find the most natural way of doing it, just by speeding up and eliminate left hand. If you feel there is a problem with ricochet, eliminate left hand. Find how the ricochet works without worrying about left hand. Then learn all the chords in this cadenza and put them two together. Other than that, I would need to see the actual problem. And question from Itzhak Rashkovsky: how do you manage to be inspired to practice during COVID-19 period? To be honest, I was, and I still am. I'm inspired by two things. I immediately, when the concert life stopped, and of course my life changed dramatically, I found a few things to do which I always thought about but never had not the time nor the honestly discipline. I became very affectionate towards etudes, and I decided to learn and at least to study and to go through books of etudes that I have never done in my life, starting with Kreutzer and all the way to Wieniawski in Vieuxtemps and Isai, not the sonatas, but he has fantastic exercises. Duny's, book of exercises, etc. So I decided I will educate myself in that way, and then revisiting, of course, all repertoire. And since I am teaching quite a bit nowadays online, every lesson is an inspiration to revisit a score, to analyze it, to find a new meaning that I missed before, and it's an endless process. That's what is inspiring. Sorry to speak about the practicing game, but I'm sure many students would like to hear what is your practicing routine when you have time and when you have no time. Well, when I have no time, that means that I'm on the road and I'm touring. Their routine very much has to do with my schedule and how much time I actually have physically to practice. It will also have to do with what am I playing tonight and what I have to play in next week or 2 weeks later. I will be, of course, concentrating on the program of the immediate future. I will be mindful of maybe some difficult moments in the concerto or recital program the week after that. To be honest, I will have very little time for routine. While in kind of isolation, I made myself a little routine of Shradik, Dunius. I discovered that it actually is wonderful to warm up, and I recommend it highly. There are infinite possibilities, but it is actually really very good for us. I think this brings our masterclass to belated conclusion. I do hope to see everybody and give everybody a hug when we're all together. Until that time, all the best.